Good afternoon and welcome to the Glens Falls Board of Public Safety meeting. It's 4 p.m., 4:02 actually, Wednesday, September 13th. Let's see, we'll call this meeting to order. I know you all have your packets in front of you and reviewed them. We have a resolution 1 is a resolution to approve the minutes of the August 9th, 2023 regular meeting of the August 18th Board of Public Safety. Executive session. So yeah, the August 9th and the August 18th executive session. The August 9th regular meeting and the August 18th executive session of the Board of Public Safety. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. 2 is a resolution to approve the annual Common Roots Foundation Disc Golf Tournament fundraiser, Beat the Brewers event, held on October 1st, 2023 at Crandall Park Disc Golf Course and Pavilion area. Attendance is expected to be around 100 people as attached. Do we have a motion to approve or questions?
I'll move them.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 3 is a resolution to approve the annual American Cancer Society Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk to be held Sunday, October 22nd, 2023 from 9 a.m. till noon. The walkers will utilize sidewalks and have a map of the route is attached. Organizers will have volunteers at the corners where the crossing of the street is necessary, and no figure was given for an estimated attendance. Any questions?
I think they do this every year, right?
They do.
Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. 4 is a resolution to approve the Glens Falls Senior Center Disc Golf Fundraising Tournament to be held on May 11th, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Crandall Park Golf Course, utilizing the band shell. I assume May 11th is, oh yeah, it is 2024. Any questions? Do we have a motion to approve? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
May I commend them for getting this in early?
Yes, isn't that great? We're starting to change the
Yeah.
change the nature of
Yes.
these applications coming in ahead of time. It's awesome. Yeah, they should get a gold star or something for sure.
First one.
Yes. Resolution to approve the Glens Falls Collaborative's annual Booty U event to be held in City Park between the hours of 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. using our bandstand. The Glens Falls Collaborative maintains the annual certificate of insurance on file with the city for all their events. Do we have any questions?
The date was 10/28, I believe.
10/28.
Yeah, it wasn't in our agenda.
Thank you. October 28th, 2023. Okay. Questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. 6 is a resolution to approve the road closure on behalf of the Cool Insuring Arena for the October 24, 2023 Godsmack concert to be held there. The road closure is requested from 7 a.m. until possibly 2 a.m. The arena will coordinate with Finch Prine as to not disturb their business, and they will have the personnel and man the barricades throughout the event. Any questions?
Does the chief have any
Chief?
issues? No. Fire department, do they have any issues?
Chief Motor, does fire department have any questions for the Godsmack? Is it okay for them, safe, and will you work with them?
Yes, as long as they meet the capacity of the building to reach out to us.
Yeah.
If they can't meet that.
Great. Yeah, I think you make sure that they do for all their events. They know about the lane and the fire lane to keep it clear. But will you just touch base with them to make sure they're familiar with you now as the new acting chief?
Do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
We need to make note on our agenda that that's Oakland Avenue, Mayor.
Did I not?
No, it's not on our agenda. No.
Slipping. Oakland
It is,
Avenue.
it is it's on everything else, just not on the agenda.
Great. All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Resolution 7, we're going to pull. They've canceled the event Resolution 8 is a request to approve the annual Veterans Day ceremony to be held at Crandall Park in the usual manner as previously held November 11th. Is that right? So that was just yesterday.
No, November. Bet you're getting it.
And
Veterans
today
Day.
is not even, it's the 13th, so I'm 2 days late and $1 short. Between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. is expected attendance about 50 people. Questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 9 is a resolution to approve the Nemur. Am I hearing things or am I hearing somebody sing in the background here? I wonder. It's either that or I'm having a stroke.
Could be City Park.
Thank you.
Oh, there's a lot going on in
Oh,
City
good,
Park,
good.
very well, yeah.
A resolution to approve the Nemur Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Trunk or Treat event to be held at Crandall Park on Sunday, October 29th, 2023, between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. using the main field at the band show. The attendance is estimated at 500 people. Any questions?
Approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Thank you. Great. Thank you. Thank you for your help. 10 is a resolution to approve the 3rd annual Thunder 5K Run sponsored by the Glens Civic Center Foundation on October 10th, 2023. 15th. Wow. Can't even read my writing. I just wrote 10 seconds ago. October 15th, 2023. The runners will use a predetermined course map, which is included. The event organizers will have volunteers wearing safety vests and carrying flags to get the runners through the intersections. The event is asked for Glens Falls Police Department to get the race started, and then they will assume control. Their COI is forthcoming. So if we have a motion, it will be contingent on getting the certificate of insurance.
We have those now.
We do have it already?
Yeah, I had sent it back because they didn't list the city of Glens Falls as additionally insured, and I corrected it.
Great, so it's done, we have it. We just don't have it attached. Is that correct?
That's correct, I have it.
Okay. Question, Chief, Police Department, to help assume, to get them started. Did he speak to you about that? You're all set?
They haven't, but it's something we've done in the last 2-3 years.
And you're okay with it?
Yes.
Any other questions, maybe?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. 10 or 11 is a resolution to approve the Cool Insuring Arena's closure at 1 Civic Center Plaza for a private event September 25th, 2023 through October 7th, 2023. The event organizer will provide access for emergency vehicles and catering tents to be set up on the location. This is the one that usually happens there, the double secret event, right? That happens at the Civic Center. So it's happened before. Chief, you're okay with this, and they follow the guidelines and provide the access? Yes. Chief Modar, are you okay with that as well? Anybody have any questions?
No.
No.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 12 is a resolution to approve the Gray Ghost Bicycle's annual hometown CX bicycle race at Crandall Park to be held on October 22nd, 2023 from 11:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Cyclists will use existing trail network in Coles Woods, and Crandall Park will utilize the pavilion as well. And the COI is forthcoming, or?
No, that one we work with. Yeah.
We've already gotten it? Okay. So it's not as attached, but we've got the certificate of insurance.
And it names us as additional insurance?
That's not make sure I send it back if they don't.
Okay.
Is,
That is, but it's in Crandall Park, and the Special Olympics is not.
my one question, are they gonna advertise this? There's a lot of people that go in there, Crandall Park.
Yes, and provide advertisement, so,
Right.
motion to, not motion, but, request that they properly notify this. And, this is the same weekend as the Special Olympics in the area, so it will be a
Yes.
busy
Yeah,
area.
I have one
There.
further question. I'm assuming if they're gonna use the park and the trails, that they accommodated for the bikers going back and forth?
The bikers actually, ride within the park, and it's not outside the park at all, and so they close certain roads within Crandall Park, like, do you know the access road where you drive behind the old field house?
Yep.
So they close that, and their trail, actually, they close off the entire trail within the park, and they ride through the grass and through, literally through the sand of the volleyball terrace.
I've
part
been
of
all
it.
through there, but they have events in the park itself,
Yes,
and then they have events in the trails.
that's correct.
There's fire road between them. Do they have some sort of arrangement where they'll have somebody that can escort these people
Cross
back
them.
and forth?
They don't go, those two events are separate,
They
and
don't
people
go-
don't cross.
Okay,
That's what I'm telling
okay,
you.
very
That's
good.
a good
Thank you.
question.
You're
So
welcome.
they don't come out on Fire Road? No.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, they don't come out on Fire Road, and
That
they're two, yes, great.
Answers my concern.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome, you're welcome. And that is the same weekend, so the day before is the Special Olympics, both cross-country running will be in Coles Woods and won't include the park. And I think that might be the only sporting event from Special Olympics there. And the next day is this event, and it's all within that, not using Coles Woods.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what do you do?
The event was run pretty well. Any other questions about the event?
Chip says he got it. I'll make a motion to approve.
My motion to approve, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you. So, under new business, we have a review of the Hudson Area Crossing Study, and I've got a handout for you. So, to remind you all that we've had some concerns for quite some time about the Hudson, the intersection where South Street comes off of Hudson by the hospital, that turn in that road. And AGFT is doing a study for us of that intersection, and it also, there's concerns about as the turn is made and you get to the hospital. Remember that we talked about the hospital has part of 14 Hudson is the hospital has
Encompass it.
rented out or leased part of 14 Hudson, and there's traffic that goes across there at their parking area. And so we are having that studied. But in the meantime, while we study it, and the study's forthcoming, we're hoping October, November?
Correct.
But in the meantime, there are requests for schools started again. The intersection continues to be a concern for us. We have some suggested possible temporary traffic calming devices from the hospital partners, the Complete Streets folks, the Healthy Safe Streets program. And so that is a handout that was, does everybody have it?
They should.
You do, you all have that. And I've asked, did we have Tom Gerard weigh in on what?
Tommy didn't weigh in.
Didn't get back? Chief, do you have any, I know you were gonna look at I always forget the name of the Bible, the
Yeah.
traffic,
Uniform traffic control device.
there we go, and we got it up here, do we?
Right.
So, my only concern is that any temporary thing at least follows the potential recommendations or doesn't violate any of the recommendations that are in the uniform traffic control device.
I think this is a good idea, if I could add, because the issue is usually not resolved when the study is done. There's an additional long period of time for us to decide what to do at that point. So this is probably a good suggestion.
Which suggestion are we talking about?
Yeah, which of the 6 suggestions?
Well, we can go over these now, but
Yeah.
doing something,
Something
kind of the
better
same
than
place
doing
I
nothing.
was over
Absolutely.
Sanford, Grant, and Glen, let's do something. And we were able to at least put no right turn there, which helped, until we decide what we want to do there.
Fantastic. Chief, do you have any thoughts?
Yes. So the suggestions on the handout that you have, I checked the book. So this is the intersection that we're talking about. This is School Street and Hudson. The concern mainly is this crosswalk here, because vehicles come down Hudson Ave, and then they're going west on Hudson Ave. This is a bend, and they come around the bend, and this is a crosswalk. What's happening now, the school is in session, is a lot of the parents and children from Village Green use this crosswalk. And there's not a crossing guard there. There is one up at Hudson and Murray. but there's not one here. So the suggestions on here are putting temporary signage up while the study's being conducted. I think first and foremost, these should be painted again. I'm not sure what they look like now, but they're probably faded.
Okay.
You can put temporary signage 20 to 50 feet from the crossing, so you could put a temporary crossing sign up here, a crosswalk sign, and then you could put one also westbound, but it has to be 20 to 50 feet from where the actual crossing is.
Gotcha.
The one on Hudson and 14 Hudson there was put right at the crosswalk and they were running over it.
Right. So that's another option that you can put, as we have sometimes downtown, we have temporary pop-up crosswalk signs. All right, that could go at the crosswalk itself. All right, so that's a possibility. The other possibility, these are called bollards. All right, some of them these are white, but they're very small. The other recommendation is to put them there on the bump outs. These are called the bump outs.
No, I don't like
So they're not very visible, they're white, they do have some reflective.
that brings the car out farther.
Correct.
Yeah, but what are you saying, no right turn onto
No.
South
No.
Street?
No.
Okay.
No,
No, we're just strictly talking about this
the
this
crossing,
crosswalk
the
right here.
crosswalk.
A bollard that would come out into the street a little
So
bit.
these are bollards, these little posts,
Yeah,
the ones that I saw are bright yellow.
yeah,
They just emphasize the bump outs. The other recommendation is painting the bump outs, which is this little curve here where the crosswalk starts on both sides. My recommendation is any visibility of that crosswalk is a plus.
going, but coming from the other way
Either way.
across. No,
Either way.
coming-
Either way, because if you're going west on Hudson, you're coming around that bend and it's very hard to see.
How
that
far do they
crosswalk.
have to come out to see, going left or right there?
I'm not sure what you're talking.
If you're coming right where they start on the left side, they have to come out into the road to see.
Yeah, to see if there's any vehicles coming.
Right.
Yeah, if there's vehicles
You
parked
see the
there.
cars are parked
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
think
just-
they'd
I'm
see a
just-
painting
I'm
there
just-
either.
Right, so if you put the temporary signs in there,
Yeah,
all right, you'll lose these parking spots. Because you can't have parking from the yield to pedestrian sign to the crosswalk.
okay,
So you probably lose 5 or 6 of those parking spots there.
5 or
There,
6.
there is no parking, going westbound, this is a bike lane, so there is no parking, the parking starts here actually at Hudson. There is no parking in that direction.
Okay, I like that.
So,
The other
go ahead.
recommendation was to put, boxes on each side of the crosswalk with flags in them. I think those will disappear within a couple of days, so
Yeah,
I don't recommend that necessarily. And that's all I have.
So if we ask our DPW to put out crosswalk signs 50 feet in both directions,
Both directions.
that's a good solution, but we'd have to try to enforce no parking for the 4 or 5 spaces that might
Correct.
request, and we could do that, but how effective will it be? It still would be better than nothing,
Correct.
right? And to John's point, even if it's temporary, even if it's something, right? We could actually put the yield to cross sign, if it's one of those tripod sort of signs, that would actually take up, we could put that in the road where one of the parking spots are.
what does the sign say,
Good
chief?
idea.
There are no signs there.
Nothing.
No, but I mean, if we put a sign, what's it gonna say? It's a stand-up sign,
Stand-up
right?
sign, yield to pedestrians.
Yield to, on both sides,
Both
yield to
sides.
pedestrians, okay.
And then we could also just temporarily paint that crosswalk, highlight it. That we can do. Our crossing paint doesn't last as long as the good crossing paint, but it certainly going to last while we're getting the study done and deciding what to do. We do have this, is there a light there?
There's no light.
So we do have, we'll wait to get the recommendations, but if there is a suggestion of a light there, we have money in our budget that we could do that. So does the council, or excuse me, is the Board of Public Safety comfortable making a recommendation to the Common Council to put these signs, both cross, I'm sorry, will you tell us again what they are? They're pedestrian, yield to
Yield to
pedestrian.
pedestrian.
For pedestrians, you can put a temporary sign here
Yeah,
on the sidewalk or any of these parking spots. You can put a stand-up one in the middle at the crosswalk.
right.
And then you put
And you
one
can put one down before the other way.
Right, I have one question on that, Chief. Are you bound to 50 feet? Or do you have some flexibility?
20 to 50 feet.
So you could actually put it at 20 feet, and then that might take care of the 2 parking places on that corner that we're concerned about.
Yeah, you would have to measure 20 to 50 feet to see how many of these parking spots you'd lose.
You
Yeah.
could Put it within the
And,
range.
and lose them temporarily. We just temporarily, that's it. It gets us, it helps children be safer until we figure out how to address this long-term needs of this corner. Is Board of Public Safety, is anybody willing to make a resolution for that motion?
May I ask a question first,
Oh,
please,
sure,
Mayor?
sure.
I questioned the crossing guard on the corner of Murray and Hudson. Is there a large volume of crossers there?
Yes, there is.
There are. In
And that's
the,
a busier intersection because there's a light there.
is there I know there's money in the, there's, okay for the sign that, what would be the cost of a crossing guard right there?
The cost is not the issue, it's finding crossing.
Finding the crossing
Yes.
guard right now.
If I had a crossing guard to put there temporarily, I could.
Thank you. No, that answers my question. Thank you, thank you.
I like that idea.
We okay with it?
Yes, I am.
And I'm fine for looking for one, but we also don't want to make any permanent. It's tough to open a position
Waiting on something.
and then call it temporary. If you're struggling to get people
Yeah,
for the
I
entire
understand.
school year, you're really going to struggle to get somebody to do 6
Okay.
weeks or 8 weeks.
And it doesn't cover the period when kids are crossing the street outside the duty period of the crossing.
That's correct. And that is
Which
that's
is
a
limited.
dangerous intersection at any time of the day. So,
I move we proceed as we discussed.
do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay.
I have one thing.
Yeah, sure. Let me just finish with what we've got in front of us. So we have done some work. We've had some neighbors in different wards complaining about trucks, heavy trucks, going into our neighborhoods and potentially with dangerous situations. We've done some research and found that we've got some state truck routes assigned from the state, and we got a map to show you where they currently are. We also have, Chip, does everybody have a copy of this or just me? So we also just found that there is some code, poorly written code, if I may say, but in the city right now that says that any vehicle of a gross vehicle weight of 12,000 pounds is limited, should not be allowed on Fire Road from Glen to Jerome. We also have 18,000 pound limit on LaRose Street, the entire length. Sherman Avenue, and you don't have this, I'll make sure you get this right away. Sherman Avenue to Western, from Western to Glen, and then Western Avenue, the entire length. So we've got code. It doesn't say what it doesn't have the penalties necessarily clear for our officers to follow regarding this. So, and also I don't know that it's all encompassing. I'd like you to take this, I'll send this to you, I'll send you, this is the route of what we know is New York State truck routes. The routes tell us where trucks should run, but say nothing about enforcement, right? And so I'd like you to take this back, look at it, take a look at our local provisions, have the 4 streets listed, have you think about where you might want to add or not, and then what we would, how we can, suggestions. I'll actually, if you agree, let's say you all say that Ridge Street should be a limited truck route as well. I'm just giving you an example. If you felt that way, then what limit of weight? And then I'll take it to our city attorney and ask her to help us write or amend this code so that we can enforce it, the police force.
And you'll
Yes.
provide that sheet to us?
I'm gonna send it to you, yes. We just found this one, right? We're
fine.
struggling. It's in the code, it's not well written, and it doesn't have any penalties in it. So we need
Thank you.
to better enforce it, okay?
The reference to Western Avenue
Yes,
is a big deal because trucks come off of exit 18 and to avoid Broad Street, they go up Western Avenue, then they go through the neighborhoods.
great, yes.
Yeah, they do. There's a lot of trucks there right now on
Right,
Western.
and we need to be careful when we're doing this, as we look, we need to think, are we okay with delivery trucks, right? What weight, right? We gotta look at what an Amazon truck or a UPS truck would be, because while we're limiting trucks, we need to make sure that people, the world's different than when this code was written,
Yeah.
right? And you guys can define what would be under local law, and you can make recommendations, and we can have the attorney write the law, and we can have the council approve if they wish, okay?
The trailer lengths have probably changed since those laws were made.
Absolutely.
Because they used to be 48,
Now they're 53.
now they're 53.
And do you, Chief, is it easy for an officer to tell a truck, because the current code is written at 12,000 or 18,000 pounds? So if an officer was to, is that something, I apologize, I've never driven a truck before, is it easy to identify what that weight is
It's not without a scale.
without a scale?
Scale.
Yeah, I can.
It's not without a scale.
For reference,
You have to have officers that are trained in commercial.
State
vehicles.
police
Okay.
enforcement.
for reference, I drove truck for the Leland paper when I started there.
Okay,
We always registered our trucks initially 17,999. So you did not need a CDL license.
right,
And those are 16-foot to 20-foot boxes.
right,
Depends on what you put on there. Once you put CDL drivers behind it, if you go past 18,000, then you have to have a CDL driver, then everything changes.
okay,
And they should have something on the side of the truck that's gonna have
They do.
yeah.
empty weight, gross weight, and then you're able to put freight on there
Maximum gross
between the
weight.
two.
MG.
So Chip was able to find a 18,
12 to 18,000 pounds.
no, what's the manual you found about the trucks from the state? What was that, 180 pages?
Yeah.
All right,
Still
so,
an interstate truck.
Isn't it in the vehicle and traffic law? Chief,
I'm sorry?
doesn't the vehicle and traffic law address this issue?
I believe it does. but-
Yeah, I mean, we need to look at that
okay,
to see, V&T addresses all of this.
okay,
The only agency in the area that is trained in commercial vehicle enforcement is the state police.
That's
They
correct.
have their own unit.
That's correct.
okay. So
The big
can we look at it and see if there's any suggestions we'd make? Are you saying that our officers right now aren't trained in that?
They don't have the
In that,
equipment.
they don't have
You
the
have to have
equipment
scales.
because you got a scale.
You gotta have
So maybe we could take a look at certain trucks in that there was a page of, in the state's truck guidelines, where they identified these truck routes. It does show photos of trucks and their potential weight. So maybe we could do it differently for our local streets and write that into the code in a way that might be enforceable. And then encourage people as a tractor trailer goes down Crandall Street, right, that we could have somebody call and try to issue some tickets. Okay, great. All right?
Strictly enforced, we put the
Yes.
sign up. strictly
Yeah, better to write it so we can actually enforce it, right? Because you don't have any scales or any truck scales ready to roll out? No, thank you. Okay. Thank you. We'll get you that information and hopefully give you something to look at and consider, okay? Let's see. So next up is an engineering study. Jeremy and Creighton Manning. I don't know if Jeremy can, yeah, there you go. Great. So come on up, Jeremy. So I believe most of you know that we have been on the transportation improvement plan for, let's thank Adirondack Glens Falls Transit Corporation for helping us with this. We've wanted to redo Webster Avenue for a while. It's been on the to have the top funded by AGFT, and we're on their spending plan. What's held it up is that we needed to do a full survey of all the water and sewer underneath Webster Avenue, because you never want to redo the top of the road without making sure that your infrastructure is fine. That infrastructure has now been assessed, and there's, I guess from an engineering point of view, we'll call it mild to moderate repairs, and that's in the plan. And the engineering of this is all set, and we're ready to move forward. It's hard to feel good about something when it takes several years to get to where it is, but we need to feel good about it. This is our next Dix Avenue project, right? And it's Webster Avenue, lead all the way from Glen to Bay. It's addressing a long-term problem of runoff, of safety. So these gentlemen have done an engineering study, and they want to present to you what the options are for traffic on Webster Avenue. Am I saying that correctly?
You got it.
All right, there we go. Turn the
Thank you,
floor
Mayor.
over to you.
Yep, so as the mayor mentioned, I'm Jeremy Schneibel from the city's engineering department. This is Chris Giroux from Creighton Manning. Creighton Manning, as the mayor mentioned, is the city's engineering consultant, designing and planning this project. Chris is here to make a brief presentation that will touch on the scope of the project, alternate design options, current status, and anticipated schedule. So at the end of this, what we're hoping for is to get some feedback from the board, from the public, answer any questions in hopes of steering this towards a finalizing design plans and moving this along towards the start of construction early next year. So with that, this is all.
I got one up there, you want?
Yeah, I'll open those up. I guess before I get into the two concepts or alternatives that we have, we got a couple different. And really the main difference between the two is just how we take care of the bike treatments. For the most part, start to the finish are roughly identical with the signal work, sidewalk, curb, drainage. We're going to take care of all those elements through both of the concepts. The main difference you're going to see is in the striping of the bikes. Before I get into that, I just want to touch a little bit on the background. As Ernie mentioned, this project really started off as an intersection study for the signals at Glen and Fire and Glen and Webster. We studied those in 2019 for AGFTC to work on intersection operations and improve the PED accommodations at the intersection. The reason why this project, Webster from Glen and Bay, got pulled into the AGFTC tip and on the DOT tip is because of this intersection. If the intersection wasn't involved, pulling the Webster piece forward would have been a lot more challenging. So I just want to lay that groundwork that a lot of the work that's on Webster is because of the fact that we're going to fix that signal, improve the operations, and improve PED combinations. So a lot of the work on that piece is kind of an additional add-on to the overall project. With the budget, it's like, well, we can take care of the other elements, sidewalk, curb, drainage, take care of some of the bike accommodations, let's throw that in. But the signal is the priority and get the intersection operated better. So the main takeaway from that intersection study, which was about 2019, 2020, was that we can rehab the signal and improve PED accommodation at the same time. The signal will have actuated phasing, which will respond more to the traffic flows versus a pre-time, which is set and runs at the same time all the time. So that will help traffic flow a little bit smoother through the intersection because it's a challenging intersection with the offset signals, and with Glen and Fire and Webster, it's a tricky move and there's a lot of queuing that happens in between the two side roads. And then the PED phasing will be built into that with a lead pedestrian interval phasing, which will give pedestrians 3 to 7 seconds of walk time before the big vehicles get their signal phasing time. So that'll get PEDs walking on each of the legs a little bit more time, a little bit more visibility to give that more of a priority to cross that intersection. And then the vehicles will queue and go through the movements.
Okay.
So that's a quick breakdown background. I'll go through these two concepts that we have. Let's see, we'll do the other one first. I'll do I'm just titled a little bit different. Can everybody see that for the most part?
Sure.
So again, it's Glen to Bay is a primary project corridor. The signals will get upgraded in both of those alternatives. And these pink hatching here, that's just the detection zones for the signal. So these zones, they'll detect all the phases, they'll detect the vehicles and if there's bicycles out there. That's the whole point of doing that. So that's just what the pink hatching means. This is a shared lane alternative, so we'll do a double yellow down the center line. We're proposing these sharrows, which you've seen probably on a couple of streets throughout the city. And we're proposing to strike the shoulder. So it'll be a 13-foot travel lane, roughly 6 to 7 foot striped shoulder. The reason why we're doing the striped shoulder from here to about 3/4 of the way down is that the width of the pavement is so wide that if we have 20 feet, it's almost too wide to do sharrows. The sharrows are meant to be 14-foot width or smaller. Otherwise, bikes and vehicles can pass at the same time without having their designated spot. So by adding that edge line in there, we'll have a 13-foot travel lane, a little bit of a shoulder. The shoulder can accommodate some of the parking that's out there now, so that may be a benefit for some of the residents on the street. Sidewalk piece, it's almost full sidewalk from the start to the finish. The only piece that we're really trying to leave alone is that stormwater piece that was put in years ago. That's tied to a special permit with the porous pavements. We're going to leave that alone to not open up that, I guess, bag of worms for lack of a different term. Curbing all throughout. We'll replace all the curb ramps will be at all the side streets, curb ramps here at the intersection, upgrading the crossings at this intersection through here on Glen. All the side streets will have some crosswalks. Drainage out there, we've looked at it, we've videoed it. Prior to us videoing it, it was all cleaned out by DPW. Once they videoed it, a lot of the drainage looked pretty good up until about the Bay Road side where there's some ponding. So we're gonna look at that piece because we're adding some curb. That'll help channelize the storm water. We'll get the water probably through some existing structures. That'll hopefully take care of some of the runoff on some of the people's properties through there. So that's a real quick summary on the shared lane. I can show the bike lane, unless anybody has any specific questions on the shared lane version. Like I said, the main difference is really just how we're going to treat the bikes.
Is that Fire Road up there?
This is Fire Road right here.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. And the main reason that we're looking at, it was primarily, like I said, a signal project. There's already sidewalk there. So we tackled the sidewalk. It's a pavement preservation project, so we're primarily just going to do a mill fill the pavement, similar to what Dix Ave was. Dix Ave was a little bit more intense. We did a synthetic reinforcement below because of the existing subgrade. Our plan right now is that we can probably just do 1.5 inch, 2 inch mill and fill, repave, maybe do some spot reconstruction, but for the most part, mill and fill, put some curb in, get that reveal back, will help with the storm water. Put back all brand new sidewalk ADA, get the curb ramps there. That'll take care of all the complete street elements that DOT looks for on the fed side, so that'll be all compliant. And then the signal will be upgraded to allow the peds to cross at the signal. That traffic will flow, secondary instead of primary. I can show the.
So mine, just so you're all aware, so my thought was that this was not optimal. It is one of the options for you to consider. What it does here is there would be some parking on the side, each side of the road, but it would cause sharrows, right? So puts the bikes in. We know that a lot of kids and a lot of people come out of the YMCA area. That's why this was originally done. It's certainly one of the options that you have to consider, and it does meet complete street guidelines. But my thought was that you would want to consider the bike lanes and that the loss of some parking spaces would be worth it for the accommodation of bikes, hoping that people could use this to get from Glen to Bay, and right across from Bay is the Warren County Bike Way. And so we, without a whole lot of money or effort, you go, I don't know if you know where I'm talking about, but right across the street from where Webster hits Bay, it's a dead-end road, and it leads right to it. And so we would need to do a little work to make sure they could get there, but it seemed like a good way to get people from Glen to the bike trail.
So you are in favor of lining the thing for bikes?
I am,
That's
but
what-
I'm not trying to sway you, I just wanted to.
Oh, that's
let
what
you
I
know.
want to understand
Yep.
on both sides.
I do, but that means that a lot of the parking that's now there, which right now, the current law is 2-hour parking on any city street, but we know that we don't actively enforce that. So if you're living on Webster Avenue and you park in front of your street, right, or park in front of your house, and you do it all day long, and your neighbor doesn't complain, and you're not in a war with your neighbor, then no enforcement's happening. Here, the next option for you to look at includes bike lanes, so therefore, there would be no parking for those neighbors necessarily, right?
There would be no parking at all on Webster.
I believe so, and I'll let them explain what the options are for you to consider.
All right, so this is the, I'm just gonna zoom in on just a little bit.
Is this still the original?
This is the bike lane
Oh,
version.
okay, so this is a bike lane version.
So
So we'll
this-
call this alternative B.
Yeah, that's the BP, yeah. So this pulls in the bike lane for most of it, and I'll scroll to the right to show you why. There's still gonna be some shared sections because of the width, but for the most part, you're gonna have 2 travel lanes, roughly 11 foot wide. You'll have that buffer zone, the hatching, and then 5 to 6 foot bike lane on each side. And this green here is just to transition the bikes to get into the turn lane so they can turn either right or left to go whichever they want.
Why do you need 2 bike lanes?
Because it's a 2-way road. If
Yeah, I
you did,
know,
if
but-
you did, you could put them on this side, but you have to separate them. So if it's 2-lane road, we're trying to put one on this side, one on that side. It's safer for bikes to go with traffic. Against traffic, you have to separate them with a raised curb or bollards, you have to do it some way safer. So this keeps bike on the right side, flowing with traffic, which is how they're supposed to go.
If you're gonna do, so the answer to the question is, if you're going to do a bike lane,
You have to put
it is,
2.
you have to put 2 different directions. It's not acceptable or recommended for a bike lane to be double. It's a great question, but I'm learning, I'm
I
learning the
travel
cure.
Webster
Yeah.
every day, because I'm 2 blocks off, you know.
I know.
They can't even stay on their half of the road.
Yeah.
When there's cars parked there,
Yeah.
after them
So,
accepting a line in the middle and
Well, yeah,
not
there's,
parking their cars and.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's excessive width out there, I guess. So without moving the curbs all the way in, this is the
Yeah,
best way
I
to chew the width up is
understand,
that.
Let me ask you a question. On these bike lanes, the one by the fire department off Broad Street, okay? The bike lane runs all the way to Broad Street, right to the curb. So in that particular area, there's 2 cars. It's always been like 2 lanes to either go into the women's thing or go into the doctor's office. The bike lane runs right to the end. Is that what we want to do? Because I think these guys get confused if you got another car in the other lane going towards Broad Street. I do that. I continue in the bike lane till I can make my right turn. As far as I know, that's legal.
Yeah, they're supposed to overlap when you get to an intersection. Yeah, they're supposed to merge together.
All right, so
And you
it
really
is.
want the bike lane, it's supposed to be on the left side of the right turn lane. So it's a better line of sight. But same thing as you get up to this intersection, the bike lane, if we know for sure that bikes are taking a right, we'll do something like that. We'll get rid of this bike lane and this will turn into like a shared right turn lane
Right.
/ bike lane.
Right.
Right.
So they're supposed to be in the same lane together, but you want bikes on the left side.
Can we do that legally?
Yeah,
We can?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's for the guidelines, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just worried about liability, whether,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, that's for the fence, yeah. So I'll scroll a little bit to the right just so you can see the change. Because you lose some of the width out there. You know, so as you get to Edison, we lose some of the width on this side, so we're gonna be back to the shared lane here, but you can continue the bike lane on this side. And the same thing, after you get past the pump station, it gets even narrower with the curb,
Yeah.
then that'll be back to the shared lanes on both sides.
Not enough room.
There's not enough room out there,
Right.
yeah, without kicking the curb out and taking property.
Yeah,
This keeps things within the city right away.
okay.
So you still get your connection. All the parking on the road is essentially gone, but everybody in the house is to have off-street parking. So it's a trade-off there. But it's another option. Either one is going to have, maintenance, restriping, no matter which way you go. You have to put the sharrows back with the road lines, or you got to put the hatching with the bike symbol. So either way, it's not a big cost difference between either one, pavement marking striping wise. So sometimes that's a factor for some of these alternatives. But either way, you still get that accommodation. You're getting your sidewalk connections with the feds. The bike connection is there. We didn't look very heavily into a path off to the side because of the right-of-way issues. We want to keep the bikes, primarily the accommodations in the roadway.
So if you've got some service truck that comes to fix your appliance, he can park in the bike lane.
He'll park there, yeah, and that's if you're downtown in the city, it's almost the same situation.
Same thing.
They just got to go around it, but for the most part, you're probably going to be in the bike lane.
All right.
Yeah.
So we wanted Creighton Manning to share these two options with you. The Common Council has we've been looking at, we're having a full sidewalk study done this year by AGFT. We have looked to, you just approved a few weeks ago of the relining of Maple Street from Ridge to McDonald, and there you had some options, and you picked the losing of half of the parking on Maple so that you could accommodate sharrows for safely, and so you kind of in that way you gave equal measure to bicyclists and businesses and parking on Maple, right? And here you have an option in front of you that, again, I think that with the nature of this area, remember the intersection was unsafe and there'd been complaints. We know that we have a lot of kids that are coming across from the YMCA and from Crandall Park. It's a heavily used area. That's what started this. That's what began this project as we look at it. And now as we do look at it and we're trying to encourage bicycling across our city, this is the one of two options that favors bicyclists. The cost is at parking.
I'll tell you what else it does. It makes it a little more safe for runners.
Yes.
They've got something to follow. I used to be one, and it's great for runners to run against the traffic. They're in the bike lane, so it's good.
So you really, I don't want to influence you. I just wanted to remind you where we were and what the focus of the council has been on complete streets. Both of these are complete street compliant, but one certainly focuses on pedestrians. The bike lane is got a bit more focus on the pedestrians rather than the ability to park of some neighbors that live on Webster. All that we're asking you to do is to consider these two options. I'd like you to, if you feel comfortable making a recommendation now, this just goes to the Common Council of what your preference is. The Common Council needs to come up with the formal resolution to follow your recommendation. So if you're comfortable.
I'll make a motion to approve the bike lane.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we'll make a recommendation that this Plan B go in front of the Common Council for final approval, and we'll make sure that at that time we also have public comment as well for people to do that. I know that the folks on Webster are dying to have this work done. We all are, and it's funny. It's hard to feel good, and I appreciate all the hard work that's gone into this. But and it starts in 19, and it's a problem, and you're in 2023. But it is. This is good progress for us. It's our next major infrastructure. It's both infrastructure and the road structure. It's because of the great work of AGFT, the state, and our contractors.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I have one.
Yes, you have one more in open business, then we'll go to old business, new
No,
business,
no.
excuse me, new business. So, Bob?
I have a friend at the Y that uses Coles Wood to run.
Gentlemen, sorry, go ahead, Bob.
I have a friend at the Y that uses Coles Woods to run.
Uh-huh.
Pretty much every day, he runs the trails where the cross-country kids go. And on occasion, he encounters people with dogs that are not leashed. You know, he really is irate. He tries to confront them about it, and, you know, most of them don't really care. So I told him I'd bring it before the board, and I know the signs are all over there, it's posted. And I asked the chief, they enforce that, but at the current time, they do not have a dog warden. Okay?
Right.
So, any ideas? Other than that, I'd like to go back to Rich and say, you know, if you encounter something like that, you have your cell phone, maybe he could report it, call dispatch, and let the department know. How's that? Are you in agreement with that, chief?
That works for us.
Okay. So if the board's in agreement with that,
Sure. I also, you know, this is, remember our conversation about the bike trail. And we took no action regarding electric vehicles. And the reason that, if I can summarize your thinking, was that it's not that, that you had anything against electric vehicles at all. It's just that our particular portion of the Warren County Bike Trail is the most used portion of the bike trail. And we have people breaking the rules of the bike trail, not even talking about the electric vehicles. Our concerns were that as the bike trail is right now, we have people illegally using it with dogs and other, mostly dogs is the worst, right? Dogs leashed and unleashed, and traffic people not paying attention. You know, it's a pretty dangerous section of the bike trail. So we took no action on electric vehicles because we didn't have a way to address it. So in addition, I love the motion. Let's pass it if you're okay with it. But I think the same thing could be, we need to look at what can we do. Could we form a group of people that use our bike trails, that use our running trails, and ask their assistance to identify problem people, not in a way that's going to get them attacked by anybody, right? Not, you know, right? We don't need everybody being a deputy sheriff, but we could use some help about the misuse of these, both the bike path and our trails, to help us notify so we can start to address some of these things. It's very difficult. We have a very small police force who do a great job, and they're not actively right now working on bike trails, right? And they're not actively working at thing. And so if you see somebody with your dog, right, and you're running, you're upset, but you don't know what to do. And so think about that. Could we ask for, Glens Falls is a small community. I think we'd help each other out. I think we could, you know, figure out how we might want to address this, because we want to be safer, but we can't also say we're going to hire new people to patrol the bike path or the running. Sure.
yeah, we all talked about the safety issue too.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
but that's, you know, besides the point, we had this ongoing issue, which is probably occurring along the bike path outside the city also.
Yes.
You know, I know there was a lot of pushback by the people that own electric bicycles. Most of them I see not pedaling, but they're using the battery.
Flying. They're flying.
Yeah, well, anyways, where I'm going with this is, I don't know what we could do because of Mr. Leonard. Bob Leonard was in here, came before the board, and said that the original plan of the bike path that they have currently is not wide enough to accommodate an electric bicycle being added into.
Right, Bob Landry.
Bob Landry, I'm sorry, Bob Landry. direction on that.
That's correct.
You're absolutely
And I-
right.
And so we thought about that issue, and we made the decision that based on safety, okay, what we
Take no
know,
action.
that we wouldn't take any action. Listen, I don't know whether we could do a test thing for a month with electric bicycles to see on there, but what would it change?
Yeah, well, that's why I said, maybe if
I
we
think
had,
we-
maybe if we had a Friends of the Bike Path in Glens Falls that were actually helping us address problem behavior, and I don't, I'm spitballing here, please don't take, I don't have a plan. I'm just saying that we know that there are people, all that, you all had anecdotal evidence of people, you know, walking their dogs on the bike trail, right? And creating dangerous situations abound. And we don't have a way to address it right now. So if you can think of that, then it might help us, because I don't think the concern was about bike, right, about electric bikes only. It was about the overall safety.
I think the issue was, as I recall, it was the population of the city and the length of the bike trail that goes through here. As I recall, we were certainly would encourage additional looking at it from a safety standpoint if the county wanted to
Help.
give us a wider path for the most densely populated portion of the bike trail.
Oh, I
Is
got
that
you. I
correct?
didn't catch
What did the
that.
county
That's good.
do though? Did they approve the e-bikes?
Yes.
They went
did.
along with somebody else's agreement.
Yeah, everybody's approved it except the city of Glens Falls. So, the town of Queensbury and other parts of Warren County, those are approved. And so you took no action whether to approve or disapprove for those bikes.
Because of the density of the population.
No, I get you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
And it was generally, again, not about the e-bikes, it was about the overall safety of that area. And that we had no real way to address an unsafe situation having nothing to do with e-bikes. And so that the e-bikes, even if you had 5 of them, would make 5 more bikes on an unsafe area.
How is the county, one thing, how is the county enforcing their?
They don't.
Okay, so can the county tell us if they had any complaints?
Oh, sure. All right, yeah, we can collect
Can the county
information.
tell us what's their experience?
Yeah, yes,
All right, so far with
Yes.
these e-bikes.
I can do that. I'll bring it back to you. So at this point, that's great. What was
Yeah.
did you have a resolution that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I'll make a resolution. that we,
Regarding the Coles Woods? Is that right?
I'll make a resolution that I will have my friend notified that the council all approved a resolution to enforce the leash law, city leash law in Coles Woods
Gotcha.
as it happens. And I will also advise him that the chief requests that if he has a cell phone, to report it. Do not engage these people in anything. That's not really up to him. However, if a dog is attacking him, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Dogs do attack runners, I know. So I guess for right now, Rich, I'll tell him to give him a call. We'll try to enforce what we can.
Notify us when they see a violation.
Notify us when we see a
can address it.
violation.
Are you
Great.
talking about Coles Woods proper?
We were.
Yeah.
That's really the Warren County Sheriff's Department,
How
city
about
of
Queensbury,
Glens.
isn't it?
Is it?
Queensbury, is it part of it Queensbury?
Because when we get people up there camping, we call the undersheriff of Warren County, they go in there, they can do control. The city police won't go up there. So
Okay.
Okay, so that we
Is
notify.
that right, chief? Yeah, so we gotta notify.
There's a small portion that's still within the
It's
city.
right behind the YMCA, I think.
Right behind the
But all the trails are in.
Majority of the trails are in town.
All right, so we'll revise the
Revise.
resolution.
Yeah, the city or the county, depending on where they are. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
A second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
thanks.
Yeah?
Mayor, may I-
Yeah, sure.
One
More
new
open,
business,
new business? Go
please.
ahead.
I live on the area of Sanford Street, Cameron Avenue. I live on Cameron Avenue. I've had several neighbors come to me that there's a house that's 2 doors down from the corner, going towards Ridge, going east, that has, I've taken a picture, I'm sorry I didn't get it printed out. beautiful floral displays between the road and the sidewalk on the city property. It is quite beautiful, but we cannot see to pull out. You're blinded, you've got to really come out very far, and almost into Sanford Street to turn left, because you cannot see any traffic.
What street is this?
Sanford Street.
It's on Sanford.
Yeah,
I think I've
right
seen
on
this.
Sanford. Yeah, it's the tall grasses and the sunflowers. Yeah,
Simply-
and
I don't think they want to mow there.
it is beautiful, but it is a safety issue. And I know there are a few places around the city, we've driven around, we've been looking. I don't know, is it a safety issue we can bring up, as this is the city's property? I believe the city owns the property outside of the sidewalk to the road.
So all you gotta do, Tambry, is send an email to Tom Gerard with the information, right?
I did
We'll
report
start
it
there.
to one of the police officers, but
Right, but
reach
again,
out to
this
Mr.
is-
Gerard.
yeah, oh, sure, absolutely, and then
Thank you.
copy the building and codes department, right?
Building and codes,
Yeah, so,
Mr. Gerard.
but you,
Thank
we
you.
definitely.
I didn't know that.
If
Thank
it's
you.
our property, then we need to
Yep.
maintain it.
This is a
Okay.
liability exposure for the city.
I
I'm
brought
with
it
you.
up last
I just-
year, do you remember?
I'm with
I
you.
brought it
So
up last
You
year.
haven't, so, there we go.
Over the years,
Thank
I've had
you.
to defend lawsuits
got one
against
too.
municipalities over tree branches obstructing stop signs, things like that.
Thank you.
Can't see.
Any other new business?
No.
Thank you.
Any old business?
Yes.
Chief Smith's report, please, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
I voted yes. I voted yes.
The only thing new that I have to report is, all of our recruits have graduated from the academy.
Hey!
And they're doing well. That's 5 of them, and 1 more is still in the academy, won't graduate till December. They'll be off of field training in the middle of October, so we should be seeing some new faces out
We
there.
can use them.
And
Terrific.
we appreciate your process before they come to us, because you're allowing us to make good choices of good, dedicated officers,
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
and your detectives too.
My detective division does all the work.
Well, tell them I mentioned them too, please.
That's great.
Much
And then there's a
appreciated.
note about Lieutenant Padone.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes.
And 3 positions still unfilled?
That's correct.
And no more academies until, or no list, right?
No list, that there's a new test September, last weekend. And with the results, hopefully by December, to send people to the January academy.
January Academy.
Good.
Great.
Hopefully.
Would you care to mention for the record what Lieutenant Padone did?
Yes, absolutely. We received a letter from Sheriff Murphy from the Washington County Sheriff's Department. Lieutenant Padone was off duty. He lives in Washington County, and he assisted with a stolen vehicle, a stolen police vehicle from Washington County, and assisted the deputies there in securing the subject. So Sheriff Murphy sent a commendation to Lieutenant Padone.
Good. Congratulate Tom. Thank you very much, and we commend his
Service.
services.
Will do.
That's great.
He's also commended some time back for pulling someone out of a second story of a Granville
That's correct.
home,
Fire.
homeplex.
Fire,
Yeah,
right? Fire.
He would be an
Fire.
exceptional one of our officers.
Yes.
I know his father.
We
Yeah.
put a letter of commendation in his file. Can maybe do that, please? Recommend that.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other questions for
No.
Chief? Do we have a motion to accept the chief's report?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good
Any
job.
opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you,
Don't
Chief.
go anywhere too far.
Oh.
Thank you. Let's see, Fire Chief, Deputy Chief Modar, his report.
All the above, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Good evening. Yeah, it's after 5, so it's easy, right? So my report is for August. We had 326 calls for the month of August. We had one that started his fire academy at the end of August in Utica, and he should be done at the end of November. We had no unusual calls for the month of August, fortunately. The department played chess a little bit with their apparatus due to equipment being out of service, due to mechanical repairs unforeseen, but that is fixed and everything's back on the road currently. The in-servicing of the new firefighters that came online to us at the beginning of August is continuing, and they're falling right into place and finding their niche in the department, which is good. Department is prepping for fall projects. What that means is we're testing our hose, getting ready for the winter projects that are coming up, and putting things away that we don't use in the winter. And then after this report, if I could, recommend executive session for personnel issues.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
I have
you.
a quick question.
Deputy
Quick
Chief,
question.
nice job Monday for the ceremony, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Great.
I saw you out there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
I
yes.
just go with and I walk away. I just like what you're doing.
You
Thank
missed the hacksaw Duggan ceremony.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I played basketball with Hacksaw.
Oh, you did? That's great. That's great.
I know, Pat.
He didn't take the 2x4 to you, so that's good.
No, he hadn't picked one up yet. But he can rebound.
I have a
Tamara, you had a question?
Yes.
quick question. Firefighter injured this month?
No, ma'am.
Oh, there's not?
We have one on light duty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no injury.
Just
Okay.
one.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have a motion to accept the chief's report, or deputy chief's report?
Deputy
I'll
Chief.
make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment. We can open up the Board of Public Safety to public comment. Anybody who'd like to address the Board of Public Safety can do so. We need I'd like you to stand, tell us your name, your address, and 2 to 3 minutes, and that'd be great. Nobody looking to?
Because they
Oh,
don't
go ahead.
everybody jump at once.
Sure. Go
Yes,
ahead.
go right
Sure.
ahead.
Aye.
Yes, please do.
Charlene Didell, Monument Ave, Ward 3. Just want to ask the police chief, how's the situation with all the little mob of bikers going around in the city? Is that settled down? Is it?
As well as their parents.
I know it's not easy.
Obviously with the system that's in place, it's not a quick fix.
No, I taught for 32 years. I know about this home life and all that kind of stuff. But that's good. So it's an ongoing process. You are doing the best you're working on all the time.
Yes, we're investigating every case that comes in, just like we would any other case. Unfortunately, it's a little slower of a process.
I know, but good. So you have nothing really new to report, and we can come out to eat and things like that.
I would love for you to be able to go back downtown, yes.
Good, I hope so, because we love it downtown, but I was a little skittish there for a while, because we're not done.
I understand completely.
And we have had 4 or 5, so there
And I would
is
be tempted
progress.
to
It's just you
keep my
can't.
car going around the circle and hit them, because I got nothing to lose, I figure, at this point in life. I don't know, but I don't want to do that, but, you know, I know. No, take that off the tape. No, but you just, you get to a certain point, but it's safe to come out
Yes, ma'am.
and enjoy life downtown. Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
4
Thanks for hard.
4 youth charged,
4 to 5 at this point, yes.
4 to 5, and their parents.
And their parents.
I
Thanks.
think that's excellent, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
That is
That'll
good.
make a big dent in this activity.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
I just have a few things. I had a request that
I
came
know
last
who you are,
week.
but you want to tell us who you
Yeah,
are?
I live at 80 Sherman Avenue. I'm in Lapham. I'm also the 4th Ward representative for the city. There was a request over a year ago at Abraham Wing to put up a flashing beacon, and I don't know if that's come before the Board of Public Safety before.
No, because our DPW superintendent spoke to the superintendent of the school, Abraham, last week, and he told us there is no request. So just so you know.
Okay, because principal at the school had
Fair
asked
enough.
again.
Maybe the principal didn't tell the superintendent,
Yeah.
so it's great, but thank you, because we wanted to know from your email, just so you know, Councilman Lapham, I do.
Yeah, it didn't make it onto the, or I didn't get a copy of the agenda, and so I don't know.
It's not
if
on the
it's
agenda because because you had sent the concern from the group, right, the East End group, so.
Well, this isn't from the East End Group, it was from somebody else.
Oh, I apologize. So that caused me, there was a question about Abe Wing and the light, and so I had the DPW superintendent contact the superintendent of school, and he said he wasn't aware. I'll follow up if you'd like, and we'll start with the principal to make sure that we do.
I can go back into my notebook and get you that.
Thank you.
So also there were complaints, this is from the East End, is from complaints about the traffic going through stop signs at Orchard, Lawrence, and McDonald. So I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Thank you.
And we just heard about the teams, so I'll skip over that one.
Okay.
There's complaints about overgrown shrubs, so that's kind of similar to what Chamberlain had said about some flowers. I think the shrubs are even worse
Oh, yeah.
because that's putting people out of the sidewalks into the roads. And it makes it impossible. I'm just walking over here, I have spots where I have to walk out into the road because sidewalks. So according to code, section 204-7, the lowest branches along sidewalks and driveways should be 7 feet. So I don't think we're cutting that way. And I know that the city's not on the trees that are growing right by the side of the road. So I don't know what we can do to kind of make that a focus.
First thing you can do is have whoever's got the concern to give us
report
send
it.
me an email and report it, and we can address it for sure.
Okay.
And that I would say the same for whether it's a city, in your case, Tambry, it was a city, please just let me know right away, right? And city or non-city, right? We both need to be addressed.
So it's the Tom handles these, Gerard?
Yeah,
Or the,
well, it depends on
It
if
could be
it's,
the landowner, depending on.
well, if it's out in the road, is that the city? If the shrubs are,
well, if a city-owned property and the shrubs or the trees are growing and impeding our sidewalks, yes, we need to address it. We need to know about it right away. And then if it's a property owned by somebody else, then we notify them, and usually it's a first call to building and codes. They go and see them and say, hey, can you take care of this? And if they do, great. And if not, then you start to violate code enforcement.
okay, yeah, thanks.
Yep,
Thanks, Ben.
that's it.
Thank you. Okay, yes, sir. Sure.
Mark Rogers, 14 Hudson.
Smile for the camera, Mark.
Right back here.
Sure.
No close-ups. Well, Mark Rogers, 14 Hudson. First, I'd like to thank the police department for what they've done. I park in the parking garage across the street from 14 Hudson, and neighbors, people we live with, not recently, but before, have been spit on, food dropped, water bottles dropped from the top deck, and a few of us have confronted them. But as far as what the chief said about people being charged, how is that going to be communicated, especially to like the residents of 14 Hudson or the Mill, who seem to have the most problem with these kids? Is that communicated anywhere where we could tell, hey, this many people's been charged, or the kids been charged? Not the names, we won't care about that. Sure. But is there something that can be put out to kind of ease the fears of some of the people? We have older people living in our building.
Sure.
And they don't want to walk to the parking garage at night. But if you hear something like that, you're like, great, that's great, this problem. And I've noticed the last few weeks, it's been dwindling. You don't see the kids anymore. I used to see them all the time.
Right.
So I appreciate your efforts and the police effort. I know it's tough because these people call, they're up on the roof again. And then by the time you get there, they're gone.
What roof are they getting up on?
The parking garage at 14 Hudson, or across from
Park Street.
You mean
Parking
the
garage.
big garage?
Yeah, they drop
Yeah.
stuff from the 5th floor
Okay,
down.
what about, but not 14 Hudson?
No, they can't get up on that
They
roof.
can't get up, so it's just the parking
The
garage?
parking garage. But a lot of the residents park there, and when they're walking in and they're up on the top floor, they're
Right.
spitting, dropping bottle, dropping food, being disrespectful, but not recently.
Right.
But I guess my point is, if we can somehow communicate that to maybe 14 Hudson or the Mill, or if you want to send it to me, we have a Facebook page of 14 Hudson, we can even put it out on that.
What
So-
about if we put a camera?
Yeah,
Some sort of
but
camera.
by the time they get there, they're gone.
So the first thing, in addressing the situation, the message from the chief is you need to call us right away. And so I appreciate though, like, you know, when you're, and maybe you're a grown man and you're thinking, look, tell those kids to drag their butt or whatever, and we're asking you not to do that, to let us know right away. A, because we need to document it, so that when we finally catch the kid, we have several documentation of innocence, and we can follow up on it. And many people, this is Glens Falls, we're small, they yell at the kids or whatever might happen, and then they don't report it, and that's getting in the way of us enforcing our laws. It's been a problem with the youth in general, not talking about 14 Hudson at all.
Right.
Fair enough? So that's the message. If you see something, no matter how serious, call us right away so we can document it and follow up on it.
And if-
And it sounds like he's
Well, if
been,
we could be, I mean, if you notify 14 Hudson it's the same owner with the Mill, she could put it out an email saying, hey, good news.
Right.
Somebody,
Right.
you know, this is what Mark learned at the whatever.
My intentions at the end of when the open cases that we have, because we still have a few, is to do another press release.
Okay.
That was good. The one you did recently was good.
thank you.
Let me,
That
And-
was
let me ask
excellent, so
you,
we are
and
caught
that-
up to date.
Yeah, and so let me just take some responsibility too. We've lost, as of about a month ago, our communications director. And so thank goodness, Chief Smith created that for us and got it out, but didn't get it out to where we normally would. And we could, and also the updates. It would be our communications director that would be asking the chief for updates. He'd be giving what he could and he'd be sending that out. So we're interviewing for people for that position too, but it just,
I'm retired.
no. Very good. Go ahead.
how about notifying the hospital, the people that park there,
Yeah,
some way, somehow?
yeah, the hospital too, yeah.
Well, that's important. That's most people that park there. They're the ones that. we
But
want.
usually they're gone, well, most of them are gone by the time
The kids are
the
there.
kids,
Excuse me.
the kids are there.
Well, all I'm saying is that we need some.
Maybe good to
to
notify.
let them know,
We need to communicate where we are with these.
you know, this is it, this is what you do, you know, whatever.
Just so you're aware, the hospital actually has access to the cameras that are in the parking garage, and they do call us when they see things.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
It's great.
The other, I just had two, I'll do them quick. My wife and I, we sit out on the porch, we face the Mill on Hudson Avenue. And we sit there every night, when it's nice out, we sit there every night and I watch the traffic going, and I'm not real good at this, but they're going east towards the circle. And when they get to that intersection of Elm and Hudson, the people are in the middle of the intersection and nobody from Elm Street can go.
They're
And
blocking.
and what happens is they'll pull up far enough to let the person go, and then when the person goes around the car, there's another car coming up Elm towards South Glens Falls. And we were just down in Florida, and they have the signs up on the light saying, if you get caught underneath the light, you're gonna be fined. And we sit there every night, and you can take pictures of just how many people just sit under the light until it changes, but nobody on Elm can go. But when we were in Florida, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna risk it, I could probably make it, but you think twice when you see a sign
Yeah.
saying there's a camera. Anyways,
Sure.
that's just something we noticed. The other thing we noticed too, and maybe it's not this department of you guys, is the vehicles, the amount of vehicles that we sit out there at night and we hear with their engines and their modified, cars and everything. Is that part of your committee or is that a different committee?
Well, if
You know,
you,
just-
so we
Yeah, yes.
don't, right now, we have some noise regulation that talks about the loudness of vehicles.
That's in the vehicle and traffic law.
And so if you, when you witness that, if you call like anything else, we
Yeah.
will try to follow up on it. And it's tough with a crew of 30 in the
Oh,
entire.
yeah, and that's the thing, I mean, we probably see 20, 25 cars go by between 4:30 and 6 o'clock, and with modified or just loud motorcycles. But last thing, I won't bore you with, was we also see too, you were talking about the e-bikes and the e-skateboards that actually use the bike lane in front of our apartment when the traffic's back up to the hospital and they're going towards, they just come right up there, and it's not like they stop at the light, you know, if they can go, they're gonna go.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing. I mean, like I said, I appreciate everything the police do for us. And, you know, if we can ever be any help with the residents of 14 Hudson, let us know.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your insight. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had one more, see, I lied to everybody, one more thing, just reminded me when you said 14 Hudson. I did get a complaint from one constituent, or former constituent, because I'm no longer representing the 14 Hudson, that's gone over into the 5th Ward. But I also let Mary know that when we moved the bus idling thing off of Elm Street, it's gone down around the corner on Park Street. And they sent some pictures of where the bus is idling and it's not in the right spot. And yeah, I forwarded that along. I haven't heard anything about that.
So the fact is, sometimes the bus drivers don't pull into the loading zone and block traffic, and when that happens, we need people to call us so we can ticket them. Been tough. Our ticketing agent left, and we just hired a new one, so it's been difficult to even follow up on that.
So just have those people reach out to the police, or
absolutely, just like they did for us when we made no parking on Park and Elm. It takes a while to actually hand out tickets before those drivers stop parking illegally. And but that is a loading zone, and it is not illegal.
If it's in the loading zone.
Yeah, if it's in the loading zone, then we need to do that. And even if it's not, there was a complaint about idling, and we don't have a law right now to address idling, but we'd be glad to go over and ask them to not. They're idling for 3 to 4 minutes while they load or unload that bus. And it's not illegal for them to be in that loading zone. It's been there before. It's been there since 14 Hudson went in. But we don't really want that to be the place for them. They've asked for another place, and the Board of Public Safety is looking at East Washington. There's a place that GGFT uses in kind of an emergency. Let's say out here when they've had to do work in front of City Hall at the current Ridge Street terminal. What we do is there's a place for, as you turn off of Ridge onto East Washington, there's a space for 2 buses could park before you get to the entrance of Rite Aid, where it's safe to see GGFT has used that. So on next month's Board of Public Safety, we're looking at making that a temporary bus stop for them. We're trying to find a place for them. We've looked all over. We didn't, when the Board of Public Safety looked at the intersection of Park to Hudson, and at the intersection, but that road, right, where when Park and Elm started to enforce its own parking spot, pushing those buses out into the street, the Board of Public Safety reviewed that area, said this is a dangerous area, no parking. We didn't even recognize, at least I didn't, that there was a loading zone around the corner, right? We didn't, it had just been there. So we didn't tell them to go there. As a matter of fact, we know that they've now put their bus stop sign. We didn't. They actually brought us a bus stop sign, and I said, we don't have a place for you. We don't, we're not in the, and so they went ahead and did that. So we're going to get it removed. It is a loading zone. It is legal for them to park there. We didn't tell them to, though. And we don't want that. We don't want to upset that. We also, that was loading zones put there both for the hospital and 14 Hudson for deliveries. That was what it was intended for. So we don't want Greyhound to make that their home. And we just didn't have, they found it. they put up a sign, we need to remove their sign and try to address it. But it is not illegal right now for them to load there. Fair enough? Hope I answered that. Well, I tried. Anybody else? If having no other public comment, then I'd like a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Cut it, please, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.